Hey everyone, Travis Webb with PARQA. I'm excited to be joined today by Adam Barratt from Guidant Global and Jeff Neumann from Bullhorn to talk about Bullhorn Recruitment Cloud and an exciting Salesforce Experience Cloud product that we've developed here at PARQA. Thank you for joining us today. Adam and Jeff, let's start off by telling us a little bit about your roles at Guidant Global and Bullhorn. Adam, let's start with you.
Yeah, so Adam Barratt, I've been with Guidant Global for 4 years now. I'm head of talent marketing across Guidant Global and the wider Impellum Group, which Guidant Global falls under the umbrella of the Impellum Group. My role is to help my customers attract, engage, and retain talent. There's no easy way of doing that. We do that through immersive storytelling, strategic offerings to our customers through some of the good work that we're doing both internally as well as externally. But ultimately, we want to proposition our customers as an employer of choice within their respective marketplaces. And it's up to myself and my team to give them the best footing in order to do that.
Awesome. And Jeff?
Great to see you again, Travis. So I'm Jeff Neumann, SVP of Product Marketing at Bullhorn. I've been with the company a little over 10 years now, and my area of responsibility is really to own our global go-to-market, and that includes the majority of our Salesforce investments and our strategy on that platform.
Awesome. Well, excited to talk with both of you. And, as we're here today, we're here to talk about PARQA's Salesforce Experience Cloud play that, Adam, you guys have implemented alongside Bullhorn Recruitment Cloud. So in your own words, can you tell us a little bit about the Salesforce Experience Cloud product and how you're using it in your environment?
Yeah, it underpins everything that we're doing from an advanced direct sourcing solution perspective. This is a dramatic step away from traditional direct sourcing. We're utilizing the technology that helps us curate talent communities, and at the same time, the technology helps us do the heavy lifting. We don't have to rely on human intervention to correct processes. We can rely on the technology in order to do that. That underpinned by the fact that we now have our all singing, all dancing Experience Cloud solution, which is bringing a fantastic candidate experience to our customer base as well as the candidates that we're looking to track. It is really setting us apart from the competition, and that is one of the most important things for us.
Yeah, and on that, Adam, let's talk about your role in selling into new clients, right? Obviously, you guys made the decision to go to Bullhorn Recruitment Cloud. You know how this Experience Cloud play, like how has that impacted your ability to bring on new customers?
Yeah, that's never an easy thing, let's be honest, because we are in an incredibly difficult market. The world that we live in socially, economically is changing by the day, right? We can't control those factors. We need a proposition in the marketplace which is going to set us apart, because if you were to stack us up in terms of our offering against our competitors, anyone would think, well, you're doing the same thing. What's your USP? So this gives us that USP. This is that differentiator, is probably the best phrase that I can put towards this. So when we're talking about new customers, we're talking about how we're leveraging their employer brand to attract and engage talent. When before we weren't often doing that, we were looking at very traditional methods in order to attract and engage talent. This gives us that advantage now, where we can not only leverage their employer brand, but we can start to put the candidate journey first, which from a rather selfish point of view is the most important thing that we do. I love that we're focusing on what's important to the candidate, and particularly providing them with real-time updates to applications, making sure that the journey is completely seamless in its approach, because we've all been there. We've all been that candidate at some point through our career. It's a daunting thing to undertake. Applying for a job, going through the process of being onboarded, interviewing, it's daunting, it's scary, it's anxiety driven. So anything that we can do that will help to make that process easier is a massive tick in our box. It makes a huge difference for us and our customers as well as our candidates.
And to expand on that, I mean, what kind of impact have you seen since implementing it? Any success stories, any things that stick out?
Yeah, I have to be cognizant. I can't give away too much detail
Please don't.
obvious reasons, but we have seen dramatic upticks in our direct fill percentages, and that's ultimately what we want to achieve with this. When we consider traditional methods of using supply chain to fulfill those roles, we're now heavily reliant upon our advanced direct sourcing solutions. So our technology, our Bullhorn for Salesforce technology, underpinning that advanced direct sourcing solution means we are getting more direct traffic, we're getting more direct applications and direct placements, which is brilliant for us as a business. That's what we need to survive, but it's also what's starting to differentiate our customers from their competitors as well. So although, as I say, I can't tell you too much about the minute details of facts and figures, I can tell you that it is making a huge difference in terms of direct bill percentages, and ultimately that's what we're measured on.
Yeah, and just quickly, how long have you been using Bullhorn Recruitment Cloud with the Experience Cloud product, and then any, I guess, things you know now that since you've been using it that you wish you knew prior, or things that stick out from going live
Loads.
with it.
Loads, Travis. If I knew then what I knew now. We've been using Recruitment Cloud now for just shy of 2 years. In that time, we have implemented that across numerous customers, some of our biggest customers in the UK. On top of that, we've also implemented our, as part of our advanced direct sourcing solution, is that our uptake of our client-led microsites, our client-branded microsites, all through Experience Cloud. That gives us a differentiator once again within the market, because this is our ability to start to tell the story of who our customers are, what they do, and why they do it so well. There is huge competition within their sectors. We're working across the likes of energy companies. We're working across aerospace and defense, lots of engineering type roles, high volume, high repeatable. And as I've mentioned previously, within this kind of economic world that we're finding ourselves in, that fight for supremacy, that fight for talent to cut above that competitor landscape has never been more important. We have to look at what our competitors are doing and how can we do it differently. The technology now enables us to do that. We're propositioning our candidates' brands in a way that we've never been able to do before. If I put myself in the shoes of that candidate, and that is the most important thing, is am I providing them with an opportunity to learn everything that they can about that customer so they can make an informed decision? Actually, is this the right place for me to apply for a job and ultimately work with it? We want to make sure that the opportunity is right for them as well as they are right for the opportunity. I think that's a two-way thing. We want to make sure that that will cut down our attrition. Of course it will. In order to do that, we're putting forward candidates that are absolutely right and have a far higher likelihood of engagement and ultimately placement within our customers as well. So by using Experience Cloud, we are now able to do that. We can get candidates applying directly to roles. We can get them filtering through our talent communities, which is incredibly prevalent for us, because we don't just necessarily want a candidate to see a role and apply. We want them to be bought into the brand, what it means to be part of that brand and working within that particular customer. And as I say, that's something that we've never really been able to do before until now.
That's awesome. I was actually looking at a few of the sites yesterday, just going through and looking at them. It was neat to see the different employer branding on each one of them. So the way you're leveraging them is to see the impact of each one being different and the different environments. And to your point, making sure that the candidates are going into an opportunity that's right for them, right? It is a two-way street. So I think that's important. All right, Jeff, you sat over here quiet. We've asked Adam a ton of questions. We're going to let Adam take a breather here, but can you help us educate the marketplace a little bit about Bullhorn's investment into Salesforce products, how you foresee Experience Cloud in the suite of products as we move forward? Just a little bit of that. I think it's, for some of us that are in the industry every day, we see it, but I think that's the marketplace understanding how Salesforce and Bullhorn work together.
Yeah, sure. It's a great question, Travis. I think just given our history too, I think there is some portion of the market that isn't quite aware of how significant of an investment we've made into the Salesforce platform. So I'll share a little background and talk about kind of what we've done and where we're going. So we started this journey back in 2017, acquiring our first Salesforce-based asset. It was based in the Netherlands, and it was kind of our first toe in the water. And the reason why we made that investment was we started to see customers look at the Salesforce platform as a way to really kind of unify their tech stack and also have more control over the ultimate solution that they were building from a sales and delivery perspective. And it was with that acquisition, we quickly realized that we were going to have to get to size and scale very, very quickly in order to support some of the more complex demands that the market was going to have, especially from the enterprise space. And so shortly after we made that acquisition, we announced two more. And so what really kicked this whole thing off was acquiring 3 ATSs that were all Salesforce based. And we took that as an opportunity to really think through, what does the ultimate kind of foundation architecture need to look like in order to take something like Salesforce, which is traditionally a transactional based platform, and apply it to a relationship oriented business like recruitment. Since then, I think we've made 5 or 6 additional strategic acquisitions. We've grown our portfolio just from an ATS to an entire kind of full suite of Salesforce-based solutions that go front all the way through middle. We've even acquired some search and match and AI capabilities on Salesforce. And ultimately what that has led to is Bullhorn is actually in the top 10 of all global ISVs that offer solutions on the Salesforce platform. So if you think of the App Exchange, the thousands and thousands of companies that offer different products or capabilities or solutions to customers across all verticals and industries, Bullhorn is actually in the top 10 of all of them. That's how large and significant both this investment is, as well as the strategic importance to Bullhorn. And what we saw along that journey was one of the key benefits of Salesforce is it gives us the flexibility to apply a lot of these learnings and technology to other areas. And one of those is direct sourcing, which has been just an incredibly fast-paced area of interest from customers. And then as it relates to Experience Cloud, I don't think I've met a customer yet that wasn't interested talking about looking at building some sort of portal for either candidates or for clients. And the majority of customers do invest in Experience Cloud for doing just that. I think Adam and his team are doing some really incredibly advanced stuff that has some really powerful branding and experience thought put behind those Experience Cloud sites. But ultimately, the majority of our customers are all investing in Experience Cloud in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I feel like a few years back it was Bullhorn or Salesforce, and now it's Bullhorn and Salesforce. And one of the things that was really eye-opening to me recently was PARQA, we're a marketplace partner for Bullhorn, we're an app exchange partner for Salesforce. We participate in Bullhorn's Engage conference at the end of May in Boston. And I was looking at the sponsors page just to see, and there's normally platinum, gold, silver. Well, there's a premier sponsor this year, and it's Salesforce. So I think that's very eye-opening, the fact that you see that, it's not one or the other, it's together, and the possibilities are endless, right? I think I think the future is bright for all of staffing and recruiting when it comes to the Salesforce platform. But it's interesting to see this all come together. I have a little knowledge of it on the background too, because I'm in a lot of conversations and I hear it of like, hey, there used to be a little friction, and now we're meeting and we're having conversations and we're working together. So it's really neat to see that take place.
Absolutely. And it's not just Engage Boston. We've had an opportunity to really partner very closely with Salesforce and both their marketing and direct sales teams across the globe. So we host joint events we call them Tech at the Towers, where we hold customer events at Salesforce Towers in all different countries and even states within the US. And they've also participated in all three of our conferences, the Engage Boston, Engage London, and in Engage Sydney as well. So it's really been a great relationship, and it's really blossomed to something special.
And you threw a joint party at SIA down at the Fontainebleau in Miami a few weeks back.
So, yes.
We had a great time there at that. As we go through this, as we kind of wrap up, if you had to sum up the impact of this Experience Cloud motion or solution in one sentence, I guess, how would you describe that? Adam, I'll send that one to you.
Yeah, good question. That one is, Travis. I guess it's hard to put it into one sentence, if I'm honest. When I think about what it enables us to do now in comparison to what we were doing like a couple of years ago, right? I mentioned and I've alluded to the fact that we all live in a totally different world now. And particularly, let's be honest, the past couple of months, the world order has changed somewhat. So socially and economically, we are feeling the pinch, not only on your side of the pond, on our side of the pond as well as across Europe. We serve a lot of customers within our European database. But what this finally enables us to do is that we're now able to tell the story of who our customers are, what they do, and what makes them so special. When before we've always struggled to be able to do that, we've never had that one consistent platform that we can drive candidates to in order to do that. We're playing to the strengths of those candidates, where before we weren't necessarily doing that. We weren't doing everything with the candidate front and center in our mind and in our thoughts, where now we can. If we're providing them with content that is relevant to corporate social responsibility within the customer that they're applying, what are these customers doing to support their local communities in which they serve? Because that's very important to the different age demographics that we are looking to attract with a lot of our roles as well. We talk about Gen Z, millennials, boomers. The turn-ons for those role types is so different. What is important to a Gen Z may be totally different to somebody who's a millennial. So we have to be really cognizant of that with the content that we're serving up within our Experience Cloud sites. And we're able to do that with the addition of blog content functionality as well, where we can really start to tell the story of day in the life of content, putting a tactile feel around how we're promoting our opportunities within our customer base as well as our candidate base as well. So that differentiator for me, if it was a one-liner to take away, it would be we're finally putting the candidate front and center of everything we do.
And Jeff, how about from your side?
So Travis, I'll take a slightly different approach because I think Adam was spot on in his description of the benefits that it delivers from the candidate and kind of end user perspective. I'll take a view from a customer perspective. I think if a customer is looking to leverage Experience Cloud to build out either their candidate journeys, their client experience, and really use that to really kind of prescribe what they want that experience and all their branding to be and to feel, I think that what PARQA has developed is going to be a critical step to being able to get there, because it really puts that power and control in their hands so that they have much better kind of control over or what the Experience Cloud, I don't want to say Experience Cloud experience is going to look like, but ultimately what that portal ends up being, right? Because although the tool set that Salesforce offers out of the box can be quite powerful, what I've seen a lot of customers turn towards are other SIs to build them essentially a custom site. And what I think is really unique about PARQA's approach is you guys have really abstracted a lot of that complexity and really thought through what are recruitment customers really looking to do and to deliver in and through Experience Cloud, and give them the tools that make sense and are really easy to use in order for them to create and ultimately deploy those types of sites. And so it really puts more control and power back into their hands, which I think can ultimately deliver a better experience, a more controlled experience, and one that is easier to adjust or to be agile depending on what they need to do for a particular client or line of business, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we say all the time around here, particularly on the Salesforce platform, is the least amount of integrations, the better. You know, this is native in Salesforce. The ability, to your point, to customize it, to get it up and running quickly was all part of our solution. Was, you know, it's meant to be an easy to use product for customers to be able to, hey, we'll help you set up the first one, but once you get the first one up, you can start setting up the next direct sourcing customer,
Right.
such as Adam and team have done. You know, we started with one and now there's several, right? And that ability continues to go on. I do have one last question because I didn't really ask this. So we're at a point with the product today, but as you see this goes on, we're obviously always working on future iterations and enhancements, and we'll always do that, right? We're never going to settle for what the product is today. But how do you see this as you move forward, Adam? Like if you look at like what you would consider next iterations or how you use it with direct sourcing, what does the future look like?
You know, that's a good question, Travis, because you asked me similarly at the start. I said what we've learned over the past couple of years, if I knew then what I know now, totally different story. Once again, I kind of look at that journey. And I'm saying that journey me, but I'm also mean my team as well that exists here in the UK, because we all work across Experience Cloud. And the way that they've embraced that technology is pretty amazing. So I could never say how we feel that this will grow, but there seems to be a natural progression for us that the more clients that we are onboarding into our Experience Cloud solution, the more content we're building out on a daily basis, from functional pages that might go into detail around our customer opportunities, to blog content where we're starting to tell true to life stories that feel very grounded in reality. That is the piece for me, which I think is kind of the silver bullet here. That's how we're going to start to advance this even further, is to provide more blog content that we can not only use obviously in our Experience Cloud site, but we can then leverage that for our social campaigns as well. We can then continue to drive traffic from our social channels through to our Experience Cloud site, as well as our organic traffic that will be coming naturally anyway. So I want to make sure that we're taking strategic steps, that we're getting the very best out of our customers, getting the detail that matters to the candidates before we start to build out a solution which we fully haven't got our hands around. So by taking those steps, I can only see the content that exists currently getting a lot bigger over the course of this year. And we will bring on a couple of new customers as well, undoubtedly, this year. But it is giving us that footprint that we just never had before.
Awesome. Jeff, how about you?
I think if we look into the future, what I'm excited about from a possibility perspective is our two organizations working more closely as we continue to innovate and develop new capabilities for the Salesforce platform, as well as through Recruitment Cloud, our two organizations enabling customers to take advantage of those through Experience Cloud, right? So for example, all the work that we're doing in AI, being able to deliver maybe hyper personalization, be able to make recommendations or actually provide guidance to candidates as they're going through the application process through Experience Cloud. There's really a very tight knit relationship between our two organizations. And I think as that continues to go forward, I think we're going to unlock some really, really cool capabilities for customers through Experience Cloud together.
I agree. And I do have to say, so we've talked about Salesforce for about 30 minutes here and nobody's mentioned agents. So I think that's as we get through that, we talked about AI. We clearly have a roadmap. We have a lot of ideas. We validated those directly with Salesforce. Like we have a lot of stuff going on in the background. So we're excited about what the future of this product as we continue to build it out and add capabilities will look like, what it'll do for Adam, for you and your team, Jeff, for Bullhorn and its customers. So, I know we personally feel that the future is very bright, and to hear success stories like Adam and you and the team at Guidant Global and with some others that we're in the process of working with now is really exciting. So I want to thank both of you for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy. I know things are crazy out there, but I appreciate you joining us, telling us your story, and sharing information with us. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. It's great. Thanks very much for inviting me.
Thanks so much for having me as well.